Yeah, the title is the Self Enquiry, and we have been talking about self inquiry. Inquiry is a very normal thing in human life. Oh, where is Ukraine? Where is USA? Where you have kept your keys of the car? You see, inquiry is very normal. Throughout the day, we have those inquiries in our life. But there is one is inquiry into the material world, and then there is a self inquiry. So, all these sessions are going to be very absorbing, provided you do the repeat listening, contemplation, and reflection. Otherwise, who cares? Payment is also less, weekly session. Let me listen to this guy, forget it. No, so who cares? So if you don't do the repeat listening, this self-inquiry will not work. If we do not contemplate, if we do not focus, it will not work. Do whatever you want. People are doing meditation for 10 years and they remain the same. So we are going to understand this subject of the self-inquiry. When you inquire yourself, you awaken. You awaken to a new you. And you awaken means what? There is a shift in consciousness. Awakening means what? There is a rise in consciousness. Awakening means what? You recognize that you are totally different from the stress and anxiety, duality, and a conflict. Awakening means just, darkness is there and there is a flash of light. Flash of light inside the head. No, there is no light in electricity. Flash of light means I become aware that I'm totally different than what I'm now. I'm now in stress and anxiety, duality. I identify myself with attachment, but now it's totally different. I realize that, no, I can never be into anxiety. I can never be into this stress. So that is what the awakening is. So that awakening comes by the self-inquiry. Mindfulness and meditation is a part of the self-inquiry. Self-inquiry. So self-inquiry, awakening. After awakening, the realization takes place. Awakening is the first goalpost, you can say. And once you awaken, your mind goes back to the same state again and again naturally. And then you recognize, oh, I realize that my nature is of permanent peace, happiness, love, wisdom. It is beyond the body, breath, mind, senses, intellect, and the ego. You recognize first time that I am different from whatever is changing in my life. Body is changing, mind is changing, thoughts are changing, feeling and anxiety and the stress and duality. Meditation is the higher practice of that awakening and realization. So when you do the repeat listening and contemplate and reflect, what do you mean by contemplate and reflect and inquiry? They all are processes of the same inquiry. Inquiry means I get the information, or where you have kept the key. That is also inquiry. Information is inquiry to get the knowledge. So from the information, let me see what kind of a key it is. That is also you get a knowledge. You go a little deeper. And then you investigate. How the key is made up of. That is investigation. Now, I'm not talking of CBI or I'm not talking of the FBI and CIA. That is also inquiry. You investigate. That investigation. Who cares? Why should I investigate? Let me continue to live in anxiety and stress and reaction. 1 hour session is enough. Let me find I'm very calm and relaxed. And after that, throughout the week, I live in. That is why I told you it is absorbing. If we don't pay attention, the self inquiry does not work. So we have different tools in self inquiry, and we have different tools are available for FBI and CIA. They are outside. You investigate outside. Here is the investigation inside. So we have a different tools. I have discussed a lot about it, but now it is an organized and structured understanding. So we have a dispassion, we have a discernment, we have a detachment. We recognize the delusion by discernment and dispassion. These are the tools. These tools are inside. And it demands a common sense. We need not to have a higher IQ. We recognize that am I identifying with the false aspects of myself? Let me drop it. How? Through the mind, through the knowledge, through investigation, through reflection. All these things includes into the self-inquiry is a very important aspect. It takes you away from the cult, dogma, belief, religion, because you inquire everything. Oh God, so let me understand what God is there. It follows, process is more or less like a scientific inquiry, but the tools are different. That is why we have to learn the principles of the Eastern wisdom. So, what you get in the self inquiry? Who am I? I already know who am I. I'm a guy who lives in stress, relaxes in deep sleep, wake up, then I have differences with my honey throughout the day, and I have been tolerating for my honey for the last 10 years. Now enough is enough. This is what I am. This is what I am. But when you recognize that who you are, you live with anyone. You live in any situation. You live in any location. You are in peace and happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. Your happiness does not depend on the honey. So let the honey be crazy. They don't have an ability to make you crazy because you have already recognized your real self. And we think, 1 hour will do. Okay, I will find out. It will not work. It is not working. So the self-inquiry, when we say the self-inquiry, what happens when you wake up in the morning? Yesterday you had some struggle with your relations or honey means anyone, sibling or mother or father or husband or a wife or a friend or a stranger. You made it honey because the stranger gave you reaction, anxiety. So in the morning when we wake up, we have certain anxieties. In the afternoon, we have different. In the evening, we have different set of challenges. In the evening, we still continue with the challenges. We fall into sleep. Sleep is the same to everyone, whether it is President Trump, you, me, or Elon Musk. Sleep is purely democratic. In deep sleep, we all have the same sleep. But in a waking state, our identification causes the false self to work. When the false I works, then I have an anxiety. This is how I have to inquire. Simply don't accept it. Our masters say that don't accept it, you have to work on it. You have to find out. Don't take it for granted. When you inquire, you contemplate, you investigate, you reflect, then you are able to separate yourself from the anxiety, from the identification, from the attachment, and then you are free. That is what the process of awakening. So that is why we focus on who am I. I know who am I. You are crazy and I am very good guy. That is not a self-inquiry. Well, we have to follow a systematic approach. Because in the objective world, we already know, we are trained and educated in the inquiry of the material world. What time it is? That is also an inquiry. You see that? Checking the time to start the day. What is the weather like today? That is also an inquiry. What should I have for breakfast? Because I am aware of the different food items. Where is my schedule today? So you start thinking, yes, that is a little deeper. You are thinking in your mind. So what is my first appointment today? You're thinking in your mind and then you go outside. What are the latest news headlines? Oh, don't talk about the headlines, especially in politics, John would say. So. But I have to see objectively what I'm searching for. Headlines objectively, beyond likes and dislikes. So in the self-inquiry, I have to see beyond likes and dislikes. The moment you add likes and dislikes, you identify, you have an attachment, then self-inquiry is not possible. In outside in the world, yes, likes and dislikes continues. Very subtle differences. Self-inquiry. How can I solve this problem at work? That is also an inquiry. How I have to solve the problems of my anxiety? That is the process of self-inquiry. So there is a difference between inquiry and self. What is the best way to approach this task? You are solving the problem outside. What is the best way to deal my anger and reaction? I have recognized that I've been reacting and angry over almost for the last 10 years. Why this is so? We have to inquire inside. You also become angry. That's why I become angry. That is others' inquiry. That is not a self-inquiry. Normally we say, yeah, honey, you also become agitated. So I also become agitated. What's the big deal? No, we leave the world outside. We have to inquire within ourselves that why, what is the matter, what is the nature and the state of the mind, how I get identified, what causes that anger and hesitation and reaction. That is the process of self-inquiry. So not only by self-inquiry you reach to awakening and realization, but you also manage, you recognize that now I'm living in peace and calmness, love and wisdom. You get a flash of it. That is also, so difference between the inquiry and the self-inquiry is the normal inquiry. Self-inquiry is specialized inquiry. You can say that. We take it easily. Now you will tell me who am I? No, I'm not telling you. You have to inquire yourself. You have to do your inquiry. Teacher is only a guiding point. Teacher points you out. Teacher simply, I lived with my honey I lived with my honey for 10 years. I know his or her nature, or you know, you will tell me. So your false I is speaking. That is why you are talking like this. Your ego is talking. So when you have realized that you know your honey for the last 10 years, why you are upset? Self-inquiry asks this question, why you are upset? You already know his or her nature, why you are upset then? Why you enter into anger and anxiety and reaction? You already know the nature. You know the nature of the snake. Do you go and pat? Oh, you're telling my honey is a snake. No, I'm not telling that. I'm just giving an example. That why should I get upset when I know his and her nature? Do you see that? That is the very subtle moments. Oh, I go to a job and then I get stressed. How long? Oh, it has been happening for the last 5 years. Then you are more crazy than your professional colleagues. You did not find the way. You have to understand that. So, let us take one more aspect. Many types of inquiries are there. Information seeking is also an inquiry. What's the capital of France? Information seeking. So the second level of inquiry is the knowledge gathering. Oh, where is the France? The geographical location and the population and the people and the culture. Now, that is also an inquiry. Why I'm saying so? Because in the journey of the self-inquiry, we have to add all those moments. Everything. It has to be a comprehensive journey. So information gathering. Teacher says there is a real self and there is a false self. I have taken for granted, I believe you because you seem to be an old guy, so you said there is a real self, let me accept it. You don't inquire. So when you don't inquire, you will not change. So information seeking is one, knowledge gathering is two. I told you, what is the capital of France? Information gathering. Knowledge, you go a little deeper. Reflect. You reflect now. You reflect, you go deeper. Where is the France? That is the capital. It is which continent? And so the earth. Now you are going, now you investigate. After reflection, you have an investigation. Not like an FBI, not like a CIA. So investigation also, yes, investigation, detective investigation. So I have to gather the evidence. When I gather the evidence that there is something within me which is of the nature of peace and happiness, then why the anxiety enters into my life? At present, you are questioning where is the peace you are talking about. We are talking about permanent happiness. There is no permanent happiness. But when you move into the fourth level of investigation, you get a flash. Oh, there is a peace all the time. There is a happiness within. Then you start questioning why I have an anxiety. And then anxiety drops. Investigation. So you see knowledge gathering. There is in the, let me add one more thing. Exploration inside. Exploration. So you see that all these in a progressive way. Starting from information gathering, the knowledge gathering, then you have reflection, then you have investigation, you explore. All these elements are used in a scientific research also. We also use all of them in our self inquiry. And the last one comes the self inquiry, a specialized method of, that is what the Eastern wisdom talks about it, to recognize and realize. What to recognize and realize? That the real self, arm of the nature of real self. What is the nature of the real self? It is peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. What all the five aspects merge into? It merges into consciousness. So I am pure consciousness. The rest is the false I. Why it is a false I? Because whatever is changing, constantly changing, transient in nature, is not me. That is the conclusion. So when you reach to that conclusion, you find you are the real self of the nature of peace and happiness. That is, that goes through the process of deeper and a higher meditative state. In that state, awakening takes place, the flashes appears. Flashes. Marie Curie and, Madame Curie invented the radium. So she was thinking, contemplating, reflecting, investigating. She fall into sleep, or you can say half sleep, and she visualized. She woke up and she discovered flashes. So this is the flashes of knowledge, flashes of awareness. It happens deeper inside, in a higher meditative journey. And what happens, now every time you sit in meditation, you have those flashes of intuition and insight. And ultimately, if you continue, you reach to the higher state. You realize that state is permanent, it is unchanging, it is of the nature of permanent peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. What happens? You are settled into that. Why you are settled into it? It is permanent. Why it is permanent? You recognize that that very process cannot be reversed. It is an irreversible state. That peace is irreversible, yes. So when I get a peace in the deep sleep, you wake up and then you are in stress. So it can be reversed. When dream, you see the fears, and waking up, the fear is gone. So it is temporary. But that becomes it is reversed. You sleep in order to relax the body and the mind. Otherwise, you can still continue to have a flash of permanent peace and happiness all through life. That is the journey of self-inquiry. Eastern wisdom helps us to follow that process. In scientific inquiry, if you don't follow the process, you don't reach to the result. The same thing, if we don't follow the process in Eastern wisdom, we don't reach anywhere. Then we say, I've been practicing meditation for 10 years. Are you free from anxiety? No, I still have an anxiety. That does not hold true. So those who have traditionally learned, they are the traditional masters, they know where you stand for. So we are going little deeper into this, and we will understand. So we will also see in our coming lesson that what the self-inquiry means by thinking, speaking, and practice. What it means, how to think rightly. That is why the Master says in Eastern wisdom you have to do the repeat listening. Repeat listening means now knowledge gathering. So when you do the repeat listening, not only it is a knowledge gathering, your mind raises lot of questions. So when they raise lot of questions, that is the meaning of reflection. You don't accept the teacher, you raise the doubt. No, I have to prove it to myself. It's a very purely scientific, rational, it has nothing to do with what so-called, you might be using the word, what word you use? Oh, dogma, cult, belief, religion, God. No, we don't talk about all those stuff. And we talk about those stuff only to make you understand. Otherwise, we have to do nothing. But we also explain that every religion talks about the God. We explain it, we understand it. Why? So that you don't have an aversion against any religion. You have a clarity. That is the journey of the Eastern wisdom, or I can say that is also the journey of self-inquiry. Self-inquiry. So I awaken to the self which I do not know yet. I realize that real self which I have yet to know. By discarding my false I, which is responsible for my anxiety and duality and a conflict and problems and suffering in our daily life. Let us start. Close your eyes. Eyes are closed. Place, position, and posture. Place, position, and the posture. So you are aware of the place, very good. You're aware of the position of the body, very good. And you are aware of the posture. What does it mean? Inquiry. Because if you don't have the right knowledge, your practice will be fruitless. What it means? What it means by place, position. Place in a room. To be seated for meditation with eyes closed. Am I making a logical explanation? Place. Position of what? Not only the position of the room, which seems to be static to me, and then the body. Body is also steady, and I am aware of it. So when you are not aware and you keep the body steady, you don't know. You may be in sleep. And the posture means you are holding your awareness and attention in the practice of meditation. When you lose awareness and attention, your mind is fidgeting, your mind is distracted somewhere else. You see, oh, yes, yes, that is what happens. No. But if you maintain your awareness and attention, the second step will help you go deeper. If you hold awareness and attention in place, position, and posture, the second step becomes easy. What is the second step? Second step is being comfortable. Oh, second step is being now comfortable. We think that it is so simple. No, it is not so simple. It raises, it changes the direction. There is a change of direction. In the being comfortable step, there is a rise in awareness, and there is indirect, I would say, indirect separation from the body identification. The more we go deeper with understanding, it happens to us. And that is what is the awakening to a flash. Oh, now I don't see, body is in an immobile position and I am free. You feel the sense of freedom from the body. So it's a very deeper aspect. So I've been giving you a stepwise. So but you have to, even if you follow consciously the same thing. What? Look at the neck joint. So when you look at the neck joint mentally, you feel the sensation. Then you look inside the neck joint. You feel the sense of blankness and emptiness. You stay there and you experience the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. No, I have been repeating this again and again. Yes, we have to repeat it, but we have to repeat with awareness and attention. We lose it. That is why repeat practice will help you experience the rise in awareness, change of direction of the mind, and indirect, that is indirect separation. So look at the shoulder joints, be there, feel, look inside, feel and experience the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. So those people who can settle easily inside, only 2 or 3 joints will work for you. But still we continue. Look at the entire body. Look inside. Feel and experience the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Now, we have understood by practice, by knowledge, what moving the mind within means the rise in awareness. In spite of thoughts, you recognize you can be in sensation, comfort, and steadiness. If that is possible, then I can also separate these thoughts from me. That is our next step. to find, to discover. Again, the inquiry is there to find, to discover what these thoughts are not me, one, separate from me, two, and I can recognize it, three, and what will be the fourth one? You will experience calmness and a sense of quietness easily by the third step. So, how we do the third step? I've been telling you that you look inside, simple. You look inside the forehead at a point, at any point in the space. So means with like the space does not change, but the thoughts on the space keeps changing. Now you identify with thoughts, then you like to control the mind. I'm not saying you need to control the mind. Then you like to control the mind, you fail, or you fall into laziness, and that continues for 10 years of the practice. What happens 10 years of the practice? Instead, you should frustrate the mind. You get frustrated and you leave it. You see then who is responsible? You. So what I am saying, so simple. The birds flying in the sky, birds flying in the sky, remain, do not touch the sky. The sky remains untouched. The same way, the space remains untouched by the thoughts and feelings, including the laziness or sleepiness. You are different from all of them. Do you recognize? When you recognize, you are already there. You are already there. Last week practice is also wonderful. It's better. You can integrate, you can incorporate both the practices into your daily life. We are going into, so you see that content in the container. The space is the sky is the container of all the birds, but still the container does not become contaminated. Glass of water, cup of coffee, that cup remains untouched. It is touched, then we clean it. You see, a cup of coffee, you take it, and it becomes impure, but you can make it pure. Same way, being carefree is that. But it doesn't work. It does not work if we have been doing the practice habitually, unconsciously. So, the next step is to purify the mind. So, I make it very simple. How you purify the mind? By changing the breath. Changing the breath with focus or with, you can say, awareness and attention without any fear. So you look inside the forehead. Focus at any point in the space. Why? It keeps your awareness and attention intact, and then you start breathing quick and fast into your chest. Clicking fast into the chest. No disclaimer is required in the live session, but otherwise, do strangers are listening to me, then the disclaimer is required. Continue quick and fast breathing. Continue quick and fast breathing. At least for minimum, we will do it for 2 minutes. Continue breathing. Continue breathing. Do not stop in the middle. Just continue. And now stop this. Just be aware of the flow of the breath. What is the flow of the breath? You do not change the rate and the rhythm of the breath. First thing, you feel the sensation of the breath going in and coming out. Second thing. Third is, you experience the space where the breath is moving. So that container means what? The breath is not polluting the space where the breath is moving. No change in the rate and the rhythm of the breath. You just are watching the flow of the breath, like the flow of the water in the river. And you also experience the sensation every time the breath flows in and breath flows out. And in that state, we go a little deeper. It's another modification where in the next step we check if the mind is settled. Why? It will be another rise in awareness. Again, we are doing an inquiry. Why? In a higher awareness, we can search the real self. In a lower awareness, we cannot search. So, what we do in lower awareness, we cannot. Why we cannot? Because there is an identification, there is an attachment. So, what we do, you just look at the breath going in, coming out. First, breath in and out. Very good. Feel the sensation. That is also good. So, the moment you feel the sensation, you also drop the mantra Shantoham. The breath comes out, Shantoham. The breath goes in, Shantoham. Why we do that? To engage, to hold the mind. Why we are holding the mind? Because the mind has a habit of holding the mind naturally. Why? We are doing a self inquiry. Otherwise, this mind will continue to get attached to the world outside. And when it is attached to the world outside, the self inquiry is not possible. So, the last week practice is a different one that helps you to rise in awareness naturally. And here today I have added the step of purification of the mind totally in a different perspective. And if you are doing both the practice every day, you will find out, you'll have a deeper and clear understanding, and that understanding will pave the way to self inquiry. Because next week, uh, we will continue our journey of the self inquiry. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. You may think it's a kind of a ritual that I'm chanting this mantra. No, it's not ritual. You have to live into that awareness, that Shanti, the first Shanti to the external, to the known world, the second Shanti to the unknown world, peace, and third peace is for yourself. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your awareness on the right hand, your awareness on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms, know your experiences. Bring the hands down, We'll share our experiences now. How are you, Charlie?
I'm good, Girish. Thank you. I felt like a dissociation, but it wasn't quite right. It was like I was coming up above my body. I felt very relaxed and I was meditating, but I felt a shift.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That very shift is nothing but it's a rise in awareness, and when there is a rise in awareness, we recognize I am separate from the body. So it is not that we are forcibly accepting that I'm not the body. We recognize, we realize, we experience. It's a direct experience.
I have a question. It just popped into my head as you were talking about the three shanties. It's almost like if like in the Church of England or something, the Trinity, it's the three. We acknowledge the known world, the unknown world, and then ourselves. I always think that there's lots of threes in religions. That just popped into my head.
Yeah, Eastern wisdom, I told you, 10,000 years old tradition. So there is a trinity in a variety of ways being expressed in Eastern wisdom also. There is a meditator, there is a meditation, and there is also meditating. So the trinity is there, the knower, known, and knowing is there. So symbolically, they mean knower, knowing, and the known. When they merge all together, what is only thing left is the real self. So all the religions have adopted their own version in order to uh, create an organized religion. So we will talk in detail about that Trinity in the journey of the self inquiry also. How are
Thank you.
you, Mead?
I feel very, very good. And
Right.
I know that I'm always trying to do things right. And I've been trying to do this practice right. But tonight I was able to just allow myself to take the journey
Okay.
as you guided me. And that feels very different.
Yes. Yes, that is one way to say it. You allow the practice to take place. That is a common sense. But when I allow to do the practice rightly, the mind keeps struggling. It has a conflict with it. And from where it comes, that I will talk later. How are you, Anne?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I feel quiet.
You feel quite very
More
good.
quiet, yeah, than in the beginning. Yeah,
In the beginning,
yeah, I was more.
good.
That's
John,
why. That's that's why we do meditation.
yeah,
Okay.
what I said, it may not be making a sense now. You rise in awareness, no thought disturbs you. You fall in awareness, every thought disturbs you. But to understand and to experience, we have to inquire. John, how are you? You are alone.
Yeah. Hey, Girish, I'm fine. Um, I thought your talk for the first half was really interesting, and what you were also saying about the Trinity was really interesting. In terms of practice, though, my mind is going everywhere, and so I guess it struggles.
Yeah, it's struggle. That is what I said during the practice of meditation. Identification with a thought. The space identifies with the birds, the space can never be calm. When there is no identification, whether 5 birds is there or 50 birds, So that is the meaning of rise in awareness and fall in awareness. So it is not actually a mechanical set of things. It is in the field of awareness. The day when you feel totally relaxed and calm and thoughts are still there. The other day I identify with the thoughts and I remain disturbed.
Okay.
Yes, we will. So thank you. That is all for today. We'll talk about it. It should happen. It will happen. Thank you.
Thank you.